What up YouTube? It's the Boomer Gaming Kid, and today I'm going to answer for you the big question that's probably been on your mind if you clicked on this video. Should you play Final Fantasy XIV in 2021? Now, I am not going to lie to you guys, this is not an easy question to answer because there is no simple yes or no, but I'm going to try to answer it as best as I could, so let's get into it. Now, Final Fantasy XIV is an open world mass multiplayer JRPG that has been out for many years. And since it's been out for so many years, that means there is a lot of content to pour through and explore. Now, when I say a lot of content, that is an understatement because I don't think words can fully express how huge this game truly is and how much deep, rewarding, and sometimes frustratingly grindy systems that this game is packed with. If you want the question answered, if you should try your hand at this game this deep into its lifespan, the answer is definitely yes, because there is no harm in trying and playing the game that you think you might enjoy. And this game literally has something for everybody in terms of activities, systems, events, combat, crafting, customization, glamours, housing, you name it, and this game probably has some form or version of it. Now, the problem with Final Fantasy XIV that I think a lot of MMOs have is the early game. But Final Fantasy XIV itself has probably the most roughest and tedious beginning of any MMO out there, especially if you're looking to rush through the game so you can unlock everything and be on a level with other high-level players. If that is your goal, then this game will probably be a bit hard to swallow in that aspect, for the simple reason that Final Fantasy XIV is a heavily story-driven game. And don't get me wrong, the story as a whole is an epic one and one you won't be disappointed in if you follow it from beginning to end. But this is also a story that is stretched out through the base game of A Realm Reborn and 3 expansion packs, which is Heavensward, Storm's Blood, and Shadowbringers. So it's safe to say that there is thousands of hours of story to get through, which for grinders who just want to experience the game and not the story, this will definitely be a slap in the face because most content is locked behind your MSQ, which is the abbreviated name for main story quest. So yes, you heard me right. This game will truly not open up to you unless you slog through the story quest, which in the beginning can be really sluggish, boring, and dated. And there is a ton of running around doing fetch quests and just other tedious and repetitive things that plagues most MMOs on the market. But the game does keep it fresh by tossing in dungeons as you level up, but a lot of these early dungeons are very bubblegum and easy to get through, so you won't see much challenge for probably your first 100 or so hours, which can be very off-putting to people who are looking for a quick and intense experience. These early hours of the game is the reason why Final Fantasy XIV has a very bad reputation when it comes to the new player experience. And even though Square Enix has tried to shorten and streamline this experience, it hasn't done enough to make this early experience any more mind-numbing. But if you come into Final Fantasy XIV with a casual mindset and a lot of patience, this game can give you an experience that you never had in any game before. And you will see why people live and die for this game, including a person like me who has played this game since the launch on PS3. And there is no better time than now to jump into Final Fantasy XIV. And that's for the simple fact that the game is free to download and play up until the first expansion pack, which is Heavensward. This is truly the best deal you will ever see, because up until Heavensward, that is easily hundreds of hours, if not thousands, to explore and enjoy. And even though there is restrictions on what you can do in the game on the free trial, such as you can't shout, you can't join a free company, and you can't use the auction house, and that's just to name a few. But in reality, you don't need any of these things to enjoy the experience of this game in the early gameplay. So let's backtrack a bit, because just like I said before, Final Fantasy XIV is an epic experience for the patient players out there who wish to really explore and enjoy what the game has to offer. Not only does it have a great story, it has a rich and deep but not overly complicated combat system as well, which can be slow at first but becomes fast-paced and challenging the higher you get in level, because you will have to juggle more and more skills to have your class put out the most efficient damage or healing or tanking power impossible to keep up with the demands of later level dungeons, trials, raiding, etc. Final Fantasy works in a job system that is split into 3 categories: tanking, healing, and DPS, with DPS breaking down into smaller categories such as melee, ranged, and casting DPS. There are many jobs to choose from, which I won't name them all here because there are many videos out there that cover that. But just to name a few, there are paladins and warriors who are tanks, white mages and astrologers which are healers, and a range of DPS classes from dragoons, bards, black mages, samurais, and ninjas, just to name a few. There is also gathering and crafting classes for people who would like the quiet life away from combat. Gathering classes are botanist, miner, and fishing, and crafting classes are culinarian, goldsmith, weaver, blacksmith, armorer, carpenter, alchemist, and leatherworker. Now, what makes Final Fantasy XIV stand out from many of its competitors is the way you level. And what I mean by that is one character can level all of these jobs. Again, you heard me right. One character can level every job and max out levels on all of them with no restrictions. So let's say you start off as a white mage and you get it to level 60. You decide, white mage isn't for me anymore. I want to be a dragoon. Instead of creating an entire new character, which is the case in many other MMOs, you would simply have to purchase a dragoon weapon, and assuming your dragoon is level 1 because you never leveled it before, you equip that level 1 dragoon weapon and bam, you magically have become a dragoon. But what about your level 60 white mage? What happened to it? Well, don't fret. You simply just have to equip your white mage weapon and you are level 60 white mage again. It's that easy. So with that awesome freedom to do whatever you want and level whatever you want in this massive world, you can see how this game can get overwhelming quick and very chaotic, which can be off-putting to the new player coming in, which grounds me in what I was saying since the beginning. Final Fantasy XIV's experience truly depends on your patience to learn and appreciate what this game genuinely has to offer. And the game awards this patience with an experience that will pull at your heartstrings and keep you coming back for more and more. If you come into this game with the mindset that you're gonna make it your bitch and rush through it so you can be the best and strongest, then this game will lay the smackdown on you in every corner. You probably won't have any fun playing it because just like YouTube, Final Fantasy XIV is a marathon, not a sprint. And while there is ways to jump the gun and get ahead in this game, you will seriously set yourself up for failure and take away from what this game has to give, which is not only just a great story or a great combat system or a great crafting system. You will take away from the ultimate gift it has for you, a great adventure. Yes, that is right, an adventure that is starring you as the player. And if you open your mind to that idea, Final Fantasy XIV will never stop giving and feeding that flame of awe-inspiring discovery. The game is the best looking and smoothest experience of any MMO that is on the market. And now with the top MMO, World of Warcraft, losing a lot of its player base, many refugees are flocking to different MMOs, with Final Fantasy XIV being the top on many people's list. So the player base in Final Fantasy has never been better, with each server booming with life of new players and old. So again, should you play Final Fantasy XIV in 2021? Still, my answer is yes and no. No, if you're looking to just grind and reach endgame and be the best and strongest. And not to say that everyone that has this mindset will fail or they won't be good or something like that. I just say no because I think you won't enjoy this game much. I think you will find Final Fantasy a very empty experience if you're looking to just rush through what it has to offer. And that's even if you have friends playing the game with you. I think this method of playing will burn you out a lot faster than it would in other MMOs, because Final Fantasy is very rich in story and in lore, and by the time you reach those numbers that you want, you will probably be so bored and bitter and just very inexperienced, and most likely just quit anyway and probably tell your friends that the game sucks. But I say a big yes for the patient players out there who are really looking for a game that they could play in, grow in, and even live in. This game is definitely for you. And this is not to say that this game is strictly exactly for casuals, because it really isn't. There is so much challenge in this game for the people who are hardcores, but even the most hardcore players in Final Fantasy XIV are the people who truly love the game and has explored every part of it. And that's all I'm saying, because with the world of games moving faster and faster, there's more and more people wanting a more quick and explosive experience within their playing sessions, and these kinds of gaming mindsets will not do good in a game like this. But if you're more of a player who logs in and takes 20 minutes to glam their clothes, maybe spend 30 minutes down at Fisherman's Bottom to catch some fish, probably walk over to the Limsa Lominsa Aether Night to shoot the shit with other players, queue for a dungeon, and after the dungeon relax with some of your free company mates and the free company house, then yeah, Final Fantasy XIV is the game that you need in your life. Because like I said before, I am a long time player of Final Fantasy XIV. I have played since the launch of it on PS3. So I wanted to give my most honest assessment and opinions for all you potential new players who are thinking about jumping into this game. I know choosing a new MMO or even your first MMO is a stressful decision and it shouldn't be taken lightly. But if you give Final Fantasy a real chance, I can give you a guarantee that this game will take a place in your heart and you will really love it. But you have to give it a real chance and not try to take any shortcuts, because that's when it won't make the impact that it truly should have. And with that, I'm going to end this. I really hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it helped in your decision if you want to play this epic and beautiful game. If you enjoyed this content, please smash that like for me and hit that red button and subscribe. It will really help me out. But as always, guys, this is the Boomer Gaming Kid signing out. God bless, stay safe, and I hope to see you all in Eorzea.